Hello there! Let's talk about A'Sharad Hett. As always, I'll break this video into 3 sections. First, we'll talk about his biography, a short story overview. Then we'll discuss his personality traits, his Jedi powers, and lastly, I'll give you guys my personal impression of this character and what I hope to see in the future. As always, your support means the world to me, guys. Thank you so much. If you enjoy my videos, please like and subscribe so you don't miss my future character highlights. Anyway, without further ado, let's get into it. Who is A'Sharad Hett? He's a Jedi Master from Tatooine, and his first appearance was in the Star Wars comic book issue number 10 from 1998. This is the old school Star Wars Legends from the Dark Horse comic books. He was sired by a legendary ex-Jedi Knight called A'Sharad Hett, 28 years before Episode 1, way before the prequels. And not to be confused, A'Sharad Hett is the son of A'Sharad Hett. Okay, this is important. So he was raised among Tusken Raiders. His father was a clan leader, but he was murdered by a bounty hunter called Aurra Sing. Some of you guys may have remembered her from the Clone Wars show, as well as her very brief appearance in the prequel trilogy. He was discovered and trained by Ki-Adi-Mundi, and he was brought on Coruscant to train as a Jedi Knight. He served in the Clone Wars, and he actually befriends young Anakin Skywalker, and he helps Anakin come to terms with the tragedy with his mother and stuff that he's experienced on Tatooine as a slave boy. He was one of the few Jedi Knights who has escaped Jedi Purged. When Palpatine announced himself to be the Emperor, he ordered the clone troopers to destroy all the Jedi. And A'Sharad Hett believed himself to be the only survivor of the Order 66. And he vowed vengeance against the Empire for the fallen Jedi Order, and he thought that he could lead a new rebellion and his own way fight the Empire. He reclaims his father's legacy and also becomes a Tusken warlord. He actually leads Tusken clans on Tatooine. And later on, he has an encounter with Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he's defeated by Kenobi, and he's also unmasked and shamed before his people. And because of that, because he was defeated in combat and Tusken Raiders only value the strong, he's excommunicated from the tribes, and he becomes a bounty hunter and traversing the galaxy all over the place just without meaning or purpose. He finds his way to a planet called Korriban, and he's pulled by this mysterious voice that just guides him along the way. And it leads him to this place where he discovers an ancient holocron. Within this ancient holocron lives the spirit of a long-deceased, one of the first Sith of the Order, like one of the earliest ones ever. And her name is Dark Lady Zozan, or Xosan, whichever way is properly to pronounce her. I'm going to go with Zozan. And he becomes completely consumed by his anger and hatred and what happens with the Republic, and he starts trading in the secret Sith arts. Eventually, he becomes a Sith Lord, and he renames himself to Darth Krayt. He survives long into the future. We're talking about 100 years after Luke Skywalker and Leia and Han Solo defeat the Empire. And he wages his personal war on a new descendant of the Skywalker bloodline. Now, once again, guys, please remember this storyline takes place in Star Wars Legends, unrelated to what we have now in the canon. Obviously, Luke and Leia, they have offsprings, they have children, and this new character, Cade Skywalker, is who Darth Krayt fights. Now, let's talk briefly about his personality and his Jedi powers. So, A'Sharad Hett, from early age, was a highly devoted Padawan, and he valued the Jedi's philosophies. He was also a hard student, and he took to heart everything that Ki-Adi-Mundi was teaching him. But he also had hidden this reserved hatred towards the bounty hunter Aurra Sing for killing his father. And he always nurtured that hatred inside of him, and other Jedi Masters sort of sensed that within him, but they thought that's a situation that could be eventually resolved, and the young Jedi Knight, being, a fallible and not a perfect one, that he would be able to grow beyond that hatred. He also believed in personal accountability. He actually knew of Anakin Skywalker's transgression, his dark secret of going to Tatooine and avenging his mother by destroying a whole village of Tusken Raiders. But A'Sharad Hett never confronted him about it, and he never revealed his secret to the Jedi Order because he believed that the knowledge that he was passing on to young Anakin would affect him, and that the young man will come forward and tell the Jedi Knights and tell the Obi-Wan Kenobi what he has done and own up to his grave mistake of this vengeance. After Order 66, A'Sharad Hett's ideals fell apart. He became very brooding and dark and very vengeful and isolated. And after his duel with Obi-Wan Kenobi, that completely set his course to the dark side, because after he was excommunicated from the only people that he felt he belongs with, the Tusken Raiders, something a very similar parallel that we see in the book of Boba Fett, right? He's being taken into this tribe, and then the whole tribe is destroyed. Well, in this case, A'Sharad Hett's reputation is being destroyed. His right arm is being cut off by Obi-Wan Kenobi, and now he's no longer valued as an important asset to the Tuskens. He's no longer strong, and that completely destroys him as a person. As far as his skills go, we know that A'Sharad Hett is exceptionally skilled in the Jarkai fighting style. And he actually, during the Clone Wars, he leads the clone troopers, and he's always there in the front line with his dual green lightsabers. One is actually his, it belongs to him, and one of the lightsabers belonged to his father, who was also a legendary Jedi Knight of his time, who was also became an ex-Jedi, and he actually traveled to Tatooine and also became a clan leader of the Tusken Raiders. So it was like a same story repeating of the father and son. We also know that A'Sharad Hett, now the son, he's also perfected this ability called the Force Rage, obviously fueled once again by the killer of his father. And what the ability did, it basically amped up his ferocity in battle. Think as of Viking berserkers, right? If Viking berserkers had to take psychedelics and mushrooms and stuff like that to amp them up and rage in battle and just kill everybody off. Same here, but obviously this Jedi, or the Sith Lord as he becomes, draws on the dark side power. We also know that he is physically very, very capable. He actually kills a Krayt dragon with a single Gaddafi stick and a torch. Now, Gaddafi sticks are something that we also see in the book of Boba Fett, the very same weapon that Boba Fett has to construct in order to become part of the tribe. But also legend has it, and I don't believe it was ever confirmed for a fact in the comic books, that he killed thousands of opponents with his sabers since the Clone Wars and after the end of the Clone Wars. We also know that he became the strongest Sith Lord of his time in the future, that he perfected the Force lightning and healing abilities. When he fights the young descendant of the Skywalker bloodline, Kate Skywalker, he's wounded at one point and he has to retreat and use Force healing to restore his health and bring himself back to the fighting ability. He's also very strong with the telekinesis, and he actually, during his combat with Obi-Wan Kenobi, he telekinetically throws his lightsaber and almost kills Obi-Wan Kenobi. We also know, which is a very unusual trait for a warrior, that he was also a skilled craftsman. And this is signified when he perfects this microscopic control of the Force required to construct a holocron, which he also wanted to create one of his to kind of instill his own legacy and his teachings and his experiences. In order to do that, you needed to have an absolute control of the Force to construct one, because as we understand, holocrons are these devices where the Jedi and the Sith were able to record their knowledge and wisdom, but they also have these mythological, Force-related, magical properties to them, and this is a very interesting fact that he was also able to do that. We also know that A'Sharad Hett was a physical powerhouse, that he once again drew on the dark side of the Force to amp his physical abilities to such a degree that he would literally destroy a droid with a single punch, which when I was getting into this character, and that's one trait that I discovered, I was like, okay, so he's basically the Hulk of the dark side, if that analogy could be appropriate or not. What was my impression of this character? So I first learned about him, obviously, like many of us, after reading the famous Star Wars Legacy comic books from Dark Horse era. This is probably one of the greatest Star Wars stories I've ever read. In the comic books, in the novels, and honestly, even comparing it to Star Wars movies, even comparing it to the original trilogy, believe me, the new Skywalker bloodline, the new Sith Order, and this A'Sharad Hett turned to the Darth Great, helming them, is some of the best stuff I've ever read. So I obviously was very, very impressed with this character. But what really drew me to him is that the uniqueness of his situation. So he's basically a Jedi Master who turns to a Tusken Raider and then Warlord, and then he turns to the Lord of the Sith. And the only other instance that we know of is obviously his father, A'Sharad Hett, and the son follows in the footsteps of his father, which I thought was just such an interesting dynamic of how two different parallel lives go along the same way, and then A'Sharad Hett diverts into the dark side, but also what other Jedi was a part of the Tusken tribe. Nothing that comes to mind. Maybe if you guys know something. I obviously am not up to date with my Star Wars canon comic books. If you have known of such an instance, please let me know, but I don't think there is one. Also, what I really liked about A'Sharad Hett, I always love the idea of Sith Lord ghost forms, so specters like that rise from the past, like Exar Kun or Marka Ragnas, these ancient Sith Lords, and when their tombs are being disturbed and they're being rediscovered. I guess that element of Indiana Jones type of adventure. So we know that A'Sharad Hett lives far into the future, and that that idea that he has to fight another Skywalker, direct descendant of the Skywalkers, it's kind of a repetition and recurring themes of pure good versus pure evil. And I absolutely love that idea. I mean, I do enjoy my Star Wars stories that are more kind of like a gray area, and sometimes you see good people fighting on both sides and how they clash ideologically. But here, as far as Darth Great is involved and the new Skywalker hero, it's that vintage Star Wars good versus evil storyline, which I feel this is where Star Wars really thrives, and I really like that. And the last thing that I really enjoyed about A'Sharad Hett is both when he is a Tusken Raider and later when he becomes a Sith Lord, the character designs are absolutely spectacular. Just Google A'Sharad Hett or Darth Great and check out the drawings or paintings that were done. One of them was done by Ken Kelly, a famous Star Wars illustrator who did covers for a lot of Star Wars comic books, but also Jan Duursema, who is a penciler for this comic book here. And A'Sharad Hett just looks amazing in both instances as a Jedi, but also as a Sith Lord. In the end, let me, guys, leave you with this last part where what are my hopes for the future of this character? Well, we have an upcoming Kenobi show. Oh boy, I know we all have a lot of expectations. We have like a list of ideas and concepts and characters we'd like to see. I know a lot of people from my Facebook group were saying like, oh man, I really want to see Liam Neeson reprise the role of Qui-Gon Jinn and appear in spectral form to Obi-Wan Kenobi. Or somebody else says, well, I want to see Anakin Skywalker in the flashback in his clone armor as a Jedi Knight. A lot of these ideas are boiling down and people are extracting from both canon and legends, and they want to see all of that represented in the show. Well, how about A'Sharad Hett? This is an absolutely ideal time to do it. This is exactly the period post Order 66, when the Empire rules now, and Obi-Wan Kenobi feels disillusioned and lonely. Guess what? Thematically, it is perfect for A'Sharad Hett to appear. It would not feel like a cameo at all, because this is exactly what A'Sharad Hett is going through at that time. He thinks he's the only Jedi left. He thinks that everything that he suffered and fought for, the Republic, the Jedi Order, their ideals, it's gone. It's burnt away. And he's waging his personal war there. Wouldn't it be cool if Obi-Wan Kenobi, yes, of course, they're advertising heavily that there will be indeed a duel between Obi-Wan Kenobi and Vader. But what if they divert our attention and that only happens like on a spiritual level, intellectually, but he actually gets to lightsaber duel versus one of the strongest Jedi, A'Sharad Hett. That would be really, really awesome, and that would be really appropriate. And if he asked me, hey, Ben, has this been done before? Well, a lot of us obviously know that Thrawn, one of the most popular Star Wars Legends characters, was imported over into canon. Why? Because I believe he was a hugely popular character. A lot of fans loved him, and that's why he ended up in the Rebels show. Same with A'Sharad Hett and Darth Krayt, guys, believe me. For those of us who are versed in the Star Wars Legends, for those of us who enjoy checking out comic books, he's legendary. He's very known. Darth Krayt, I would say, is probably one of the more popular Sith Lords of the Star Wars Legends. So once again, it would be very interesting to see him. And also, I think what they could do is they could canonize him some way, because what is happening now with Star Wars, the Old Republic video game, it's still getting new content. They still haven't officially announced that it's part of a Star Wars canon, but it begs for it, because Star Wars The Old Republic is going on 11 years, and it's still one of the most played online massive multiplayer RPGs out there. So you best believe me, guys, they're not getting rid of it. No way. It's just too popular. Those stories are too dear to fans, and we're showing that we're investing in it by spending money on the game. That's it. Basic economic dictates that this era sooner or later will be canonized. Well, they could do the same with this particular period, because I believe it would not clash with the current canon or the current trilogy that they're working with. Obviously, we can't have direct Skywalker bloodline hero anymore, right? Because Rey is only a Skywalker in spirit. She adapts that name, and she says, well, the Skywalkers are now a mantle. Well, what if Darth Krayt is confronted by a Skywalker disciple, Rey's direct descendant, or her pupil, who also wears the mantle of a Skywalker? I don't know. Somehow, maybe they could figure out a way to do it. I would love to see this character back. Or what they could do is go the Star Wars Visions route and give us a story that is not canonical at all. I really don't think that they should always constantly stick to a strict canon. Explore a bit, do different things, and create characters and bring them back in a way that doesn't interfere with either or. Because we also have an announced show for Disney Plus that has been confirmed, Tales of the Jedi. It's going to be an anthology of short stories or episodes where, once again, you can discuss something that existed in Legends, and you could say, once upon a time, in a different part of the galaxy, this legend lived on, that Luke Skywalker had a direct descendant, and he had to defeat this evil Sith. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you enjoyed this character highlight. If you enjoy this type of videos, please consider subscribing, hit that bell button so you don't miss my future videos. And I'll catch you guys next time. I hope all of us get to enjoy the Kenobi show, and just a glimmer of hope there that A'Sharad Hett, or at least a reference, an Easter egg to him, will pop up in this show. Take care, everyone.